What's up, everybody? It's Reagan. Thank you guys for joining me again. I know on this video we're going to talk about how much 9XTAILS costs to build. A lot of people have been messaging me on Instagram, and I kind of haven't said nothing. I just said, hold on, I'll be making a video. And anyways, I got my tablet right here. You'll see me referencing it a lot. Basically, we'll just go over what everything cost, what the grand total is at the end, and that's pretty much it. So I don't really want to make a video like I have other videos where we're talking about the Jeep and all that shit, so excuse the French, but this video is more about just I just want to be transparent. I'm not trying to hide nothing as far as what it actually costs to build. A lot of guys that I've met, they think it's, I don't know why, but they're just like, oh, it costs a lot. It's this, it's that. Like, a lot of times you'll just never know. I mean, you can go price a few things out, this and that. If you have never really did it, you kind of don't know. And in this case, I'm using everything brand new. So I'm not using used axles. I'm not using used anything. So this is brand new wheels, tires, all suspension components, everything. A lot of this stuff had to be custom made, like the axles, as far as the housings, the long travel kit, etc. So if you're wondering also why I'm sitting on the side of the screen right here, it's because I'm going to be putting pictures up right here to show you, as reference while I'm talking about the stuff. So let's start off with the wheels and tires, all right? I went with Stasworks. They make custom steel overland wheels. They do a lot of like the big haulers, but they also do a lot of monster truck stuff and just rock bouncer stuff, and they make cool products. So I went with their Cheyenne 6 wheels in steel, 20 by 11 inch wide. And they're 8 by 6.5 bolt pattern with a 2.5 inch bolt space, and a 2.5 inch back spacing. Piano black powder coat, and the set of 4 cost me $2,500 delivered. I went with Goodyear MVTs. They're in a 395/85 R20. They're all-terrain tires. And a set of those new from a gentleman I found on eBay, brand new, cost me $2,000, truck freighted to my door. I went with custom yellow zinc grade 10 hardware on the wheels. Costs $150. It's an option. Using custom brass large agricultural valve stems. That's $100. Black open-ended lug nuts from Gorilla, $100. And eco balancing beads, it looks like 80 ounces, which cost me $75. That total for all the wheels and tires was $49.25. So we got $49.25 so far. And if you're wondering why I'm in the beanie and I have the sweater on, I probably said that backwards, but it's because it's cold here. I'm in Paris, California, and right now it's like 40 degrees out. You guys in the snow are like, oh, you're not cold. I know, I'm probably not in your spot. I'll probably be fucking freezing, but over here it's cold. So anyways, let's get on. Next, we're going to talk about the suspension. And on the suspension, I went with, I talked to Brian from Hepta Manufacturing, and I went with his long arm kit and talked to him to have it set up for 7 inches of lift. And that cost me $4,000. Next is a Rebel Off-Road coilover, front coilover mounts. Their hoop mount kit with the front bump cans. And that cost me $1,250. Next, I got a hold of AccuTune, and after talking to them, I went with Fox 14-inch 2.5 factory race coilovers with DSE adjusters, and had them custom valve tuned for overlanding by them. The front and rear package, including Eibach springs, which you need 8 of those springs because they're dual rate coilovers, was $4,500. Had to buy an AccuTune rear coilover spacer, $50 for the set. We also got, I have a Rock Jock anti-rock, the heavy duty front sway bar. So they make 3 of them. It's the heaviest duty one I bought. It's for a Gladiator. That was $600. Rock Crawler front and rear track bars. I like those because they have a gusset at the mounting points, which a lot of the other brand of track bars do not. Also, they're Heim, and those were $500 for the set. I also added a Superlift rear reinforcement bracket for the track bar on the frame side, and that was $100. And then I got a hold of Riley at Locked Off Road, and he set me up with 2.0 2-inch stroke hydraulic bump stops from them. Front and rear package was $850, and I had to buy a $50 sheet of Delrin, a 1/2-inch sheet of Delrin for my custom bump pads I had to make on my laser machine. That whole total for all the suspension you guys just heard was $11,900. So let's keep it going. Let's put a picture now up of the steering. And obviously I went with PSE. I ended up talking to a service tech there. I had questions, and then he was like, I could take your order, we could build you a kit. And I was like, well, I have the part numbers. And he goes, yeah, that's cool, I got the part numbers too, but if you need the lines longer or bigger fittings on certain things, I could do that for you. So I was like, all right, cool. I didn't get his name. I was trying to toward the end, but he literally hung up as soon as he said that the order was processed. So my bad. But I went with the PSE big bore steering kit with their ported box. It runs a hydraulic assist ram. It's 7.5-inch stroke for the Kingpin 60. Also ran their mechanical steering pump conversion and their steering pump cooler. That whole kit was $4,500. And then I ran the Fusion 4x4 2.5 ton 7075 aluminum steering rod kit. So that comes with a tie rod and a drag link, and I think it's called Rare Industries or Rare Products. My bad if I got it wrong, as far as on the joints. And that kit was $1,000. And then the last thing is a Synergy sector shaft and track bar reinforcement bracket, which I had to use safety wire on the bolts because people on the forum say, oh, the bolts back out where the sector shaft is. So I used some safety wire, made some holes, and that bolt ain't going nowhere. The whole steering setup was $5,800. Now we're gonna get into the axles if you guys made it this far. And on the front axle, the front and the rear axles, I went to Fusion 4x4. So I'll give you, I'll read along, but when it comes to like the Fusion stuff, I'll just basically say Fusion 4x4 and then all of these things. And then I'll switch to the next brand when I'm done with that product line. For the front axle, I had them both custom made. These aren't off the shelf axles. The front I went with a Kingpin Super 60 or an Extreme 60 axle housing. It runs 3.5-inch diameter tubes. They're 1/2-inch thick. I went with custom 75-inch wheel mounting surface width. So my WMS is 75 inches. And I'm running Fusion 4x4 high steer knuckles. They're 70-75 aluminum high steer arms, fabricated diff cover, their JL mounting brackets, 1-ton brake system, their JL ABS conversion with toner rings. And that's all a kit. Like, as far as when you're having it built, they pretty much know, you're telling them what it's going on. I mean, whether it's a buggy or a Jeep or what have you. In the case of the Jeep JL or the JK chassis, they have the stock geometry set up already on their CAD files. So when I told him the amount of lift I needed, he basically put in, okay, we're going for 6 degrees of caster, unless I wanted to specify differently. He knew the amount of link separation on the axles and all that. So kudos to you, Dan. Thank you so much for helping me build these axles. Now, inside of these axles, we have Yukon Hardcore locking hubs. We have their bearing and hub kit, which is an 8x6.5 bolt pattern. We have their 1550 chromoly 35 spline axle shafts. We have 35 spline forged spool from Yukon, 538 ring and pinion gears. We have their 1350 yoke, and we have their master bearing and seals install kit. and Spicer solid U-joints, and the last thing is an ARP set of ARP high steer arm bolts. So if you notice on those, I didn't put any pricing out, and it's because I basically paid one price for everything together. I did the labor on the front axle. My buddy Matt, thank you so much, bud. He took care of the gears and helped me install the spool. The front axle, the whole thing complete, was $12,500. On the rear axle, now we'll get to a picture of the rear axle right here. It's also obviously Fusion 4x4. It's a 14 bolt big tube axle housing. So it has 4-inch diameter tubes. I think it's 3.5 or 3.25 on a stock, like a junkyard 14 bolt. So these run 4-inch diameter, and it's 1/2 inch thick. I paid for that option. 75-inch obviously wheel mounting surface, the WMS. We have Fusion 4x4 fabricated diff cover. It's 13 bolt converted, so the bottom of the pumpkin is CNC'd off for the 13 bolt casting shave. It has JL mounting brackets, 1-ton brake system, the JL ABS conversion with their toner rings, and that's all Fusion 4x4. Next we have Yukon 40 spline. So the rear axle is a 40 spline. I went with 40 on the rear because the rear is always being used. It's always under load. So I figured, you know what, the front's 35. The front for the fuse I have set up is the Spicer U-joint. So basically, if something's going to break in the front, I have extra Spicer U-joints. I have it set up to be the U-joint intentionally. So in the rear, I just figured I'd go 40 spline and set it up, hopefully that it won't break. I don't make enough power. I only have the stock V6 Pentastar. So I barely have like 250 horsepower or something like that. But anyways, we went with the 40 spline Yukon chromoly axle shafts. They're matching 40 spline Grizzly locker. The forged 1350 yoke. They're flanged hubs in an 8x6.5 bolt pattern. We have their 538 ring and pinion gears and Yukon master bearing and seals kit. And the last thing for the rear axle is the EBC rear e-brake cable conversion for the 1-ton. And that whole package on the rear cost me $10,000. Next, we're going to get to the drive shafts. For that, I talked to Sean. He's the son of the original owner, I guess, of Tom Wood's Custom Drive Shafts. He did my front and rear. They're all 1350 yoke to the transfer case. The transfer case, the Rosetta joints are gone. They're converted to 1350 in the front. The back of my transfer case is a billet hub flange. That whole package to my door shipped was $1,500. And now we're going to get to the armor right here. For the armor, I have a Poison Spider built for the Hammers 2 front bumper with the Stinger option. It's $550. My rear bumper is a Cav Fab Micro. That's $400. We have Hepta Manufacturing. I had to get old of Brian again for those rock sliders. That was $1,000. And I have an Arctic Spare Tire delete kit, third brake light relocation, etc. And that was $150. So the armor stuff, I guess you could say, was $2,100. And next we'll get to the engine. And on the engine I have very minimal things. I have an AFE power exhaust loop delete kit. So the stock exhaust loop that's on the V6 on the Wranglers gets in the way on the long travel kit bracket. So you have to remove that. That was $125. It cost me nothing. I did a rear muffler delete and chopped the pipe and then dumped it before my rear axle. I also had a oil catch can, a billet one, left over from my 5th generation Camaro SS, so I put that on the Jeep also. That was $125. And I also, the last thing I needed to get was a Z Automotive JL taser, and I ran the Mini. You have to use the taser when you're getting rid of the electronic steering pump, when you're getting rid of the front axle disconnect, and also when you're running LED lights. So I had to grab one of those. That was $350. So the engine stuff was $600. The lighting, you've seen in my previous videos maybe. I ran a BeamTech 6500K LED headlights, and I'm running C-Light. Believe they're 3K, whatever they call them, but they're like the yellow gold fog light bulbs. And for the lighting, it was basically like $80. And then I smoked the tail lights, and that was it. So for all that stuff, it was about $100. Now, if you made it this far, and it's probably been like almost 15 minutes or something, we're finally going to get to the total. So drum roll, please. The total spent on parts without labor, I can't even believe this, I just want to kick myself in the forehead sometimes, is, and this is the most I've ever spent on any build. I've had a lot of cars, thank you, Mom. Thank you, working for me, working, her working, everyone helping. But in my life, I've been through about 27 vehicles. I've had about 7 motorcycles and other shit you can endlessly call out, man. And so anyways, the total spent on parts without labor is $49,650. Now the total cost of labor was free. Luckily I had friends that helped me as far as to help pick things up, hold things. And I had my buddy Matt show up. He helped me out with doing the gears and the front spool. But, and I also had Greg from Making Mistakes with Greg. If you see this, he has basically all these videos on welding. I don't know if he's a welding instructor, I believe. Again, I don't want to, mess up his history on what he's done in his life, but he gave me a lot of tips. I talked to him through a lot of his comments and messages, and he helped me when I had to get into welding, because I've only did little things here and there about welding, but he was the one that basically gave me the confidence to, to do it the right way. So thank you again, Greg, if you see this. The cost of labor, it ranges from, like I said, I didn't have to pay for it. It took me 7 months in my driveway. And the quotes that I had gotten prior from some friends, one was $12,500. That was the cheapest. A very reputable shop everybody knows on Instagram, a Jeep shop, wanted, I think, $17,000, and the most expensive place wanted $50,000 in labor. So, oh, and mind you, none of them had time frames. They were saying roughly about 3 to 6 months, but nobody had an exact time frame, which I get. But so there's no cost on the labor part. As far as the Jeep itself, the Jeep I bought brand new in the end of 2018. Or no, I bought it in January of 19, but it was a late 2018 model, brand new. It was orange, the pumpkin orange. It had the hard top option, the tow package option, the auxiliary light option, the switch panel option. And that Jeep out the door with tax and registration in California was $47,200. So we're just going to add the price of the total spent on parts and the total cost of my Jeep. We won't even add labor, so you guys add whatever labor you want, okay? We are at $96,775. So I know I'm probably missing some money for like RTV and like bullshit parts and stuff, but yeah, it's about $100,000 to build 9XTAILS the way I did with no labor. So if you add labor to that, you could say it's $110,000 to $150,000 roughly to build a Jeep like that. So if you guys made it this far, I do want to say thank you for watching. I also want to say thank you to my mom and my stepfather, my pops basically, since my dad died, for helping me a lot in this build so much. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to Jenny, my girl, and my kids. Without you guys, it wouldn't have been possible, obviously. My friends, Matt, Danny, and Napo, you guys helped me out a lot on this build, so thank you guys so much. Brian from Hepta, Dan at Fusion, John at AccuTune, Riley at Locked Off Road, Steven at Rebel Off-Road, Sean at Tom Woods, and John and Carissa at Stasworks. I know if I'm missing some names, I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.